consistency on both of these teams that I wish I could see one or the other team actually pull a little bit far forward, because so far it's been very 50-50-esque. Weibo Gaming get ahead, they win. And IP Gaming get ahead, they win. I just want to see some fight back.
Something's got to give as we go into game number 3. Weibo back on the blue side. We got NIP on the red side. We got the Renekton, Ashe, Lucian banned by NIP. It was the Leona, Rumble, Zyra pinned by Weibo. Going back to the classics. This time around, though, maybe looking to go for that early Wombo combo setup and get this misfortune.
Here's the difference here. Lilia was the last ban in game number 1 from NIP, and now this has turned around and become a Renekton. And this might be the difference here, right? When the Lilia or the brand comes through for potentially Tarzan, you have got a reply for yourself if you are Weibo Gaming. You want to play the double horsey on your team as Zhuo. It's going to lock in his Rell. Very good engage, very good disengage. You got the Ezreal as well. So far, so good.
One of his best champions for sure, and maybe trying to lean into the solo lanes a little bit more for NIP in the second phase, or at least to round out the first phase as well. I'm looking for the Wombo combo setup right now for Weibo. They need all the Venn diagrams, they need all the CC chains, and they're going to get the Alistar to get that roll.
Alistar, pretty good matchup into Rell into Alistar. Usually you see one picked into another, and of course it sets up pretty well, as you mentioned, for that misfortune. Now, do you want to prioritize Tarzan right here? Do you want to pick either the brand or the Lilia? The brand has been series defining so far. Every jungler's gotten their hands on the champion has won, but so has the Zeri, I guess. So it's either one or the other. It's going to be the electric rat in the mid lane.
Rat?
Well,
a little biased? You don't like Zeri? Yeah.
Hey, I like rats.
Oh, okay. Well, hey.
It's a good thing. It's a,
I guess a pet rat.
It's an electric rat.
I guess a pet rat, not like a street rat. Okay. Yeah, good distinction. Good distinction. Anyways, they do also have the Wombo combo, but the sustained damage setup. This is what Weibo have been fearing all series long, though, as Leyan will go ahead and grab his Nidalee, and we're already into the jungle bans for the second phase.
Now, this is where it gets interesting, right? Because the second ban right here could be brand. So what does Weibo Gaming have in their pool? It's not going to be the case. So you are leaving open brand again for Tarzan if he wants to take that one over right here. And you are playing into a Nidalee Ezreal composition. I was about to say Jace because I thought of Poke instantly, but it's an Ezreal Nidalee composition. So a lot of Poke coming in from NIP's way. And Weibo Gaming are going to need to find really good fast engages to capitalize before they get poked on.
Weibo definitely did their research. I mean, they just had to watch NIP's multi-best of 5 run to this point. Shanji's Nasus has been reigning as a bit of a niche pick for NIP, so love to see a little bit of that going their way, but we have to see what NIP are going to be utilizing for their counter pick here, as they need to get... Oh, okay. They're just going to go with that consistent damage. They're going to go back to a classic right now as the Smolder comes through.
Shanji was laughing.
It might be
him. Playing Smolder? Every time he gets a cheeky pick, he tends to laugh on the camera.
We'll see. We'll have to wait. They do have a lot of flexibility with that Smolder pick. We have seen Rookie go for it as well, but... We'll take an eye on what the actual answer from Weibo is going to be. It's going to be more Venn diagrams. It's going to be more Wombo combo as the Kennen will be let through and picked up by Bree.
Okay, Mazel, are you ready? I think a KSante with exhaust teleport is coming through from the top layer of NIP. I think it makes absolute sense. You need some sort of a beefy frontline, and what other champion other than the champion he's made his name on. And it's very fitting as well because you can very easily bypass the flash and go towards that exhaust, which negates a lot of that damage onto the Kennen. It is, of course, going to be the big Shanji.
Though I will say, if you're looking at, if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh fan, if you're looking at Exodia, I think Weibo might have gotten it. They have all the tools. They've got the legs, the arms, everything.
Wait, double electric rat.
Exactly. They've got all the Wombo combo you could ever dream of, but also they have Tarzan on Sejuani, which we had already mentioned is one of his premier picks, and he will be setting the tone and the tempo of the game.
Now, here's the thing. We said how NIP have got a very heavy poke composition with the Ezreal, with the Nidalee, the Smolder as well later on. So Weibo Gaming needed to compose something that can very easily capitalize before you get poked. This is an ultimate all-in wombo combo that Weibo Gaming have drafted themselves here.
Somebody's got to take the step up here in this best of. Somebody's got to take us to match point. We've not seen Weibo yet in these best of fives. Game number 1 had us all dreaming of what could possibly be. Then game number 2 brought us back down to earth. I think NIP have learned that they need to go with these proactive compositions. They need to have Leyan in a stable position to where he can get resources on the map and delve those out in a proficient way.
You see, on the other side, Weibo Gaming, Tarzan, on one of his best performing picks of the split. That's Sejuani, highest win rate, above 5 games for sure. Ready to facilitate, fly through screens, find those first targets, pin them down, and get Weibo another W.
You can't give the game up in the early game this time around. We'll see what happens as we go over into the red sky there of game number 3. Crowd synced up and ready to go here for game 3, all awakened now that we have an even series on our hands. Chris, you got a lot of people chasing you here. He is going to immediately burn the ignite off of Zhuo. But as we get to it, Chris will be a little bit worse for wear going to lane, not going to have that ignite.
That's perfect. You're going into a heavily aggressive lane like the Misfortune Alistar. You managed to burn one of those combat summoners away. That is an early game win for NIP. Now, specifically for this NIP composition, all eyes on Leyan. He chose that B3 Nidalee right here. We saw Kanavi do the same thing versus NIP, and it did not work out to his favor. Now, let's see if Leyan can actually put the pressure down in this early game to actually not end up being what they call a jungle Soraka.
Leyan is a bit of the Nidalee GOAT himself, honestly. I know he's been a little bit sporadic. He's been on a ton of different teams, but the man's most played champion at all these games and has a plus 60% win rate. He has like 56 plus games on his champion. So if anybody's got the pass, I think it's Leyan, even though maybe not the most consistent name that we know in the LPL.
And slow and steady game so far. And I get what you mean, man. Leyan onto his Nidalee, perfect. But again, I just have to bring up Kanavi because he played versus him, right? And he's another golden Nidalee over in the LPL. And it just didn't work out. Very nice, aggressive trade right here. And NIP's bot lane are taking full control because they know that that ignite is going to be down for another half a cooldown. So they can definitely play more aggressive.
Oh no, you used that pulverize. That's trouble. As now the flash going to end up being used by Crisp there. That's a bit unfortunate. Now NIP's bot lane will have the advantage, and both junglers are down here. Where have we seen this before, Trouble?
We have seen it on Leyan, on Zyra, this time around, another AP jungle looking for that ball.
Oh, he missed the dodge, the pounce over the wall though. Oh, he's in so much trouble. Missed that pounce and you die for it. He even burns the flash. That is worse and worse as Light picks up first blood for Weibo.
Oh, I'm getting deja vu from the JDG and IP series. Remember the Kanavi Nidalee that we were talking about? That didn't go very well because he died very early on and then he could never stabilize. Oh boy, this is looking very, very similar. Tarzan with another incredible read. I feel like Leyan has been playing for that bot lane way too often, and the fact that Chris was able to actually get away with his flash down that bot lane.
Oh, we're gonna get the zoom in.
Actually put NIP in a pickle right there. Photic doesn't have position, doesn't have an HP bar. Oh boy.
I knew it was coming.
Fails a W over the wall as well. Xiaohu has already closed in from mid lane, which is playing the Zeri. Very easy to travel through the wall. A little bit of a disaster right there from NIP.
a bit unfortunate. Not the way you want to go down on the pick I was just lauding him for. But now we have to think about what that means for Weibo. They exactly have the comp that has worked for them time and time again. They have so much setup now, especially around bot lane. They could try to start stacking these dragons a little bit earlier. We saw that was not the priority at all, pretty much in both the first 2 games. And Tarzan's going to try to strike early on top side now.
Yeah, Shanji doesn't have much mana left, but he does have exhaust, and that's very important. I feel like early on as a Sejuani plus Kennen with an exhaust in the mix is just not quite enough damage to take down a KSante. So they have to be very careful. They're playing towards the side that they have priority on. He knows that Tarzan will have the backup of the Kennen should they need to play towards that top side of the map. They are going to look for it though. Let's see if they have the damage to do that. There's no flash onto Shanji.
Tarzan taking advantage of some of the pathing here.
Oh, that wave.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. Shanji, he's going to try so dead though, and Tarzan picks him up easy.
See, I remember Weibo back in the day. I'm saying back in the day. I meant back when he was in the EU.
So back in the day, Dave.
Oh, back in the days, you know. He was saying a lot, and he was explaining the concept because back then he was one of those top laners that would die to ganks like this when it was quite obvious.
I don't think you win this, Leyan. I do not think you win this, bro.
Wait, what?
Xiaohu's over here. Leyan might have just tossed anything he had of any hope of getting back in this game.
What?
As Xiaohu claims that kitty.
No, but what is going on? This is seriously giving me Kanavi deja vu. Leyan beat Kanavi on this pick. He saw him do the exact same things and just shut him down.
Dude,
and then he's repeating the same mistakes.
Bot lane, at least, they're in their heads. They just got another pulverize out of Chris there and go the double thumbs up. Oh my goodness.
All right, perfect. Now, back to the Shanji point. As he died to this gank over in the top lane, of course he doesn't have flash, so he's very easy to capitalize upon. But before that, let's see what led to Leyan
he's on vision.
entering the jungle. They know that mid lane is resetting. That's fair.
He knew he was here.
But mid lane has TP, and Kennen is there in the top lane. He knew that his top laner is dead. Mid laner from Weibo Gaming is going to TP back into the play.
The ward doomed him.
I don't think you killed Sejuani 1v1 anyway.
I don't think so either, but it makes it worse that they knew your plan the entire time, and now they know your plan again!
No,
he's getting skinned like a cat here! My goodness, Tarzan just taking full advantage of it every single time. That's going to be the dragon started up by Weibo.
I know that he's playing a cat, but I think he's going back to the doghouse in the next game. Back to Sejuani, Maokai, some of that sword, or maybe even his brand, because that Nidalee, oh my god, 6 minutes in, 0-3 on a pick that needs to dictate the pace of the game in the early game. We said you can't fall behind, because then you become a worse jungle Soraka. You're literally there for heals and attacks with buffs, and that's about it.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. And NIP's composition has been built around the poke that you've got between the Nidalee and the Ezreal. You've got the Smolder later on as well. And that Nidalee needs to carry your early game so that the Smolder can come online later on. If you do not have an early game play right here, NIP will fall flat really quickly. Already 2,000 gold down.
Yeah, and we highlighted it from the draft. Oh, there's the flash play. Tried to catch out Light there, but Light is already gone. Crisp will fall, though, to Photic, and NIP on the board.
They need something. They need a lane to get ahead. Photic and Zhuo coming online right here, getting that early kill onto the Ezreal, the early Shin, anything that will do a lot more damage in that early game to try and push the advantage. Oh, he was seen. He was spotted. He was slightly spotted right there on vision from Crisp walking up. Leyan, a very, very unfortunate early game so far. And that means that Tarzan, as the slower facilitating tank here, gets to have a pretty free game into items. Like, this is a perfect case scenario for Sejuani.
He's got Zhuo right behind him, though, as the charge of the horse does bring some at least safety to the little dragon. But yeah, and when you see moments like this, when you see some of the things that Tarzan has been able to do on Weibo, it just makes me scratch my head that much more why this guy wasn't playing in spring. And you see some of the things that he brings. I mean, he's my OG jungle king at this point, because I think the title being given over from Ning for V is the fact that he has found maybe not the championship, but the strength every time from the jungle. He thinks about the jungle very actively.
Now, here's my thing about Tarzan. Even though he's an incredible player, he finds the angles. Man, it hurts. This guy has always been the bridesmaid. Over in the LCK, always second. In the LPL mixed finals, always second. Like, he's got multi-worlds appearances. He cannot win a split to save his life. Right here, he's surrounded by absolute legends. So much experience. Multi-MSI champion in the likes of Xiaohu, world champion in the likes of Crisp, world's appearances from Light and Breathe. You've got Worlds 2023 finalists. Like, this is the roster if you look at it. And the only thing that really hurts here, Mazel, is that it still looks kind of inconsistent. That game 2 fell flat. And if you're looking at this roster, if you look at the strength on paper, they need to be steamrolling right now.
They just need to put Tarzan on active champs, as we see what that's done already in this early game. But that
he's not even being active right now. The action goes to him.
Yeah, I guess so. Hey, you take the gifts you get, I guess. As Dragon does go over to Weibo, they're going to collapse over this bot side. It is under full vision, but Xiaohu coming over makes this very dicey. Oh, he didn't actually make it over the wall, but still dashes anyways. And, well, trying to dodge out now just dooms his life for it. And will end up falling. I don't think he was going to make it out either way, though. Missing a couple of Qs there from Xiaohu, but he still ends up getting the kill.
And look at that incredible rotation on the other side of the map. Breathe had already left that top side of the map. There was no counterplay open for NIP. It was a dive bottom from Weibo Gaming, a rotation from Breathe into that mid lane, staying safe on that mid lane tower. You cannot dive with Rookie onto the Smolder. He's not strong enough. Leyan is not strong enough. So excellent play right there from Weibo Gaming to make sure there is nothing on the other side of the map for NIP.
And wouldn't you know it, another game where Zeri's getting ahead and going to find a lot of impact. Oh, Tarzan doesn't have his cheeky nose. As I think Xiaohu's going to have a lot of influence early on. Tarzan doesn't have anything to go farm anymore, as he's going to have to get right back onto the map. And this steady lead that they have is still out in front for them. There's not going to be anything to fight for except for about a minute for the Grubs. No Grub again on the line, but a potential spawn of the Mites for Weibo or NIP.
See, this is much more scary. That is a jobless Sejuani on the Rift, and a jobless Sejuani on the Rift is a ganking Sejuani on the Rift. They're looking towards the top side of the map. Rookie has already lost half of his HP, and now Weibo Gaming deep inside Leyan's jungle. They're just setting down some vision, looking for anyone to actually walk forward. As oh, Xiaohu knows.
He knows something's there, but he didn't hit anything. He didn't hit anything there, so he's like, okay, there's nobody there, maybe. And
look, Leyan.
Oh, it's so scary.
Leyan is coming.
It's like a shark. Oh, don't. He's got the dash out, though, so I don't even know if it's that scary. This is scary, though, for Rookie, as he gets hit by the Glacial Prison. Beautiful disengage from Zhuo, and now Rookie's still alive. He's trying to get as many stacks as possible, but he will just end up falling to the combo. And Breathe gets him. True Shot Barrage rings out, and now Zhuo all by himself, surrounded by the Way Bros, as Crisp tanks up the turret. A double kill goes to Breathe.
4 members up the top lane. Guess what? Xiaohu left bot lane again. He went over to mid lane. This is incredible map pressure from Weibo Gaming. They are not leaving any play open from NIP, and then they're TPing back into their towers after the play is over to pressure off Shanji. Great macro from Weibo Gaming. I said, keep me accountable to this, okay? If NIP is on a good day, they are the best macro in the LPL, and right now, this doesn't look like a good NIP day.
They do end up getting the 3 Grubs, so there won't actually... Yeah, they did get the Mites. Let's go. So they got actually the spot in the end, and NIP taking advantage of some of those resets coming out from Weibo after those last fights. Now, Weibo, I will say, they look a little angry as they're looking for engages as much as possible, but that's where we return to the conversation for this team. But it really is about the team fight damage. It's really about getting those concentrated damage circles going down for Weibo.
And who would want a group from NIP? Why would you ever want a group into that team fight that you just mentioned from Weibo Gaming? But right now, Weibo Gaming are using the extra gold that they have over in their top lane and mid laner to try and take advantage of outer towers. The more towers, the more deprivation in terms of vision NIP will have, the more picks you're allowed to have. You've got Crisp roaming the map the whole time. You've got Tarzan that can engage from 2 screens away. This is going to get scary territory for NIP as towers start falling.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be all 5 plates in top side, as well as that first turret up there. So massive amounts of gold going to Xiaohu. Now we're getting a 1v1 in bot side, though. Breathe. Pop the slicing maelstrom, gets exhausted immediately by Shanji. He's still trying to carve away at him, but a little lightning rat is pretty strong. Gonna dash right back in. Breathe might have overextended. Gonna fight back into Shanji. Zhuo and Crisp have arrived to maybe stop the fighting. Say, chill, guys. We don't need to give any kills over here because we got about 50 seconds for a dragon. And Rift Herald is also on the other side of the map.
The mirroring is crazy. However, Kennen will have the ultimate up, while Shanji will not have that exhaust. So it was used in a personal 1v1 down the bot lane. You mentioned the dragon coming up. This exhaust is so important. The dude has already Leandries plus boots plus another half item in his inventory. This Kennen is going to hurt without an exhaust. So I feel like Shanji right here is going to have to find a pretty good wall to possibly misposition or reposition, sorry, rather, the Kennen during that fight, having no exhaust.
And I think we're starting to see some of the dominoes fall apart for NIP because of the lack of prio that Leyan has on the map. Now Rookie can't feel as confident to get these trades. He's had to move around the map because of some of the pressure there. He is not nearly to that 1920, 225 dragon stacking that we had saw in the last time around he had played the Smolder. So it's going to be a little bit of a different damage profile for NIP if they want to contest for any of these objectives.
Yeah, I don't feel like they can actually contest for any of those objectives. I'm going to be honest with you, Mazel, because even though that Nidalee is 2 levels up on the Sejuani, you've got 1.6k on the Zeri, you've got 1.5k onto the Kennen. Again, fighting this without exhaust into a Kennen is a death wish for NIP. So they're most likely going to avoid as much as they can. You see, the Dragons have not necessarily gone down too fast right here from Weibo Gaming. The stacking has been halted just a little bit, as they haven't necessarily started that second dragon yet. So NIP will get some time to try and gain some items, some level, some experience. I'm not gonna lie to you, Mazel, seeing Rookie on a pretty inactive champion early on a scaling champion, if you will, is kind of hurting NIP in this early game.
It is, but we have seen this work out for them in the past. If Leyan is not sitting at 0-3, right? They pick this because you need a stable platform to make sure that you can get Rookie and Photic to a place where their damage actually sticks. But because of those early dominoes falling, they just can't do that. So that's why I feel like it looks so bad. But yes, I agree, a little bit of that proactivity is going to be needed across the board for both these two teams. As Weibo, they're perfectly fine and dandy with that. They're going to take a second dragon for themselves and maybe move a little bit of this pressure towards mid lane.
They got everything they need. They've got the ease of execution in terms of team fighting. They already have pressure. They're going to pop the Rift Herald down mid lane and try and put pressure over that. You only go Rookie, Photic, and Leyan. Anyone who walks forward, it's just one Sejuani ult from Tarzan.
Glacial Prison does go down, but Mom was also called. Shanji was actually looking for a little bit of an angle. We're going to clear out some of this vision here. Nothing else to really fight for, but that outer tower falling does mean that NIP have no real defensive options out on the map past the tier 2s.
They're just leveraging the fact that they're ahead right now. Again, Tarzan walks forward. If one of those ultis lands, then they can just capitalize on it. But right here, you can also use it as an Ornn or a Maokai ult, where you just zone people off the tower, just making sure you take the objective you came for, which is exactly what Weibo Gaming did there. Now the map is going to start getting scarily dark for NIP. What really scares me right here is not necessarily the map going dark, because you have to deal with that. A lot of the times you won't win your early games, is that the face check is not as easy. Shanji, which is your tankiest member, is stuck on a side lane, and if you lose Zhuo to a face check, that means you've got 3 squishy members around, which Weibo Gaming will be more than happy to engage upon.
And I mean, now they're on 2 items for pretty much the double carries here, getting close for Breathe and Tarzan as well, but that damage profile just harder and harder to deal with for NIP. And this is where maybe some of that lack of cohesion is starting to rear its head here. Weibo realizing they just need to have some go buttons, and they're looking to utilize that. And I love that they're trying to just keep pressure on. Even if there's nothing to fight for, because they have such a big lead, they can just force these fights.
It's junglers. They're everything to fight for. There's grubs up, grubs are the thing you fight for. This is pride between the junglers. I feel like these 2 junglers right here have dictated how the game goes, for the good or for the bad. Absolutely. During the series. And Tarzan getting full control of the jungle right here on the Sejuani on one of his signature picks, as Photic just went to Arcane Shift out. Combo away. Very easy for an Ezreal to get out of that. But again, making sure that you take control through the jungle, you can very easily try to even pull like a 20-minute barrel. With 2 Fed 80 carries and a Kennen, you could definitely pull NIP to try and fight you.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can just force the hand and see if NIP want to try to bite it. But they are still very far off from any scaling pieces for them, especially Rookie. Still not even going to be very close to that 225 stacking moment either. A little bit of vision there being highlighted by observers. But this has been a story about the best of Weibo. And I will say, yes, it's been all about Zeri, unfortunately, for the mid laners. But Xiaohu has been able to answer Rookie in a lot of these cases on this Zeri. And I think finding that advantage in mid lane has led to a lot of this. And every single game, there's like 2,000 leads are meaning the difference. Now, they're going to try to carve back something on top side. The exhaust comes out a bit early. Breathe is going to have his slicing maelstrom available now, but luckily, you know, Shanji's pretty tanky. Going to try to fight back on a Rookie. Rookie going to get some more stacks there, and that is beautifully done. But they did lose a tier 2 in mid lane, and they're under siege in bot lane.
Bolt. Yeah, that is 2 towers, and only have to sacrifice the electric route up the top lane, and just an ultimate will take those. That was a TP and an exhaust that was invested by Shanji, and there is Soul Point coming up in 1 minute and 20 seconds. That exhaust is going to be down, and Kennen will have his ultimate back up and available. Is it great that you ended up dying? No, but isn't it fantastic what Weibo Gaming were able to do with all that pressure from Breathe up the top side of the map? Absolutely. Taking every outer tower from mid and bot is going to be great for the next Dragon, because it's going to be complete darkness for NIP trying to walk out. Now, for an exhausted Kennen, he's still a little low damage, because as you can see, not exhausted the ultimate. Look how much damage it does to Shanji, who's the tankiest member.
And has some MR too. So not too shabby there. And that's why we talked so much about the way that, you know, Weibo drafted themselves into a very strong team fight centered composition, and now that they have the advantage, they can just utilize that so well. The in-betweens are going to be the important thing for NIP. If they can find some of this promise with the poke, they are on the double items now for both Photic and Rookie, and they also have the evolutions there too. Still not going to be close to that next 225 mark for Rookie, but going to be getting closer to that point.
Which is very funny, because I feel like Rookie hit one of the earliest times for the 2-5 stacks earlier on in his best of, I believe it was versus JDG. 1920 was when he hit the 225 stacks. The one closer to him was Merwin from the LEC at 1944 through that top lane. But now he's nowhere near that, as you have mentioned, 22 almost minutes into the game. And this Smolder will come online, and there are still replies from NIP. However, this is going to be a very 4 versus 5 fought battle. Leyan, even though 1 level up still in the jungle, when the health bars are getting higher, when the resistance is now coming in, Nidalee is not as relevant anymore.
Can we just call him Soraka from here on out? I don't know. Maybe we get the like mid-game change.
That's what I'm saying.
As I thought NIP were going to be willing to just give this one up and say, hey, let's fight in the next 5 minutes, but it looks like they're going to make the play down here. Shanji just getting completely trounced by both of the Weibros in the solo lanes. The Xiaohu had TP'd in to get the kill, and going to be pushing onto an inhib tower here. NIP have said no to the dragon stacking to Weibo, but they might have overextended themselves. They are getting pincered as now here comes Tarzan. They do end up getting the dragon too. Tarzan, oh man, he's making NIP hurt. Here comes Mom, Rookie, trying to get the stacks as best as possible. They're starting to fight down though. Leyan, he's a little bit worse though. No, he can't get it. He does pounce his way over the wall. Rookie is trying to fight his life in the pit. He's going down though. Gets some good stacks. Leyan tries to go forward, and he's gunned down by none other than Xiaohu, as the Zeri represents.
Now, that might be crazy for me to say, but that fight was much closer for comfort for Weibo Gaming right here. Losing 2 members, of course, that is due to the fact that Kennen did not necessarily have access to that ultimate to try and influence the fight. However, NIP put a heck of a fight on this one. Unfortunately for them, they do lose the dragon, and they do lose every single member in their team. Very many glowing health bars on Weibo Gaming, but it doesn't matter if you don't end up taking them down. Let's go through it one more time. Crisp on the flank right here from Weibo Gaming, and there's 3 different angles that Weibo Gaming are coming from. Again, reminder, if there's too many flanks, there's many groups that are outnumbered, and an IP stuck as a bundle, all four together. This is why you saw a lot of damage coming over to the side of Weibo Gaming, and almost, I'm not gonna lie to you, for a certain amount of time, I thought this was gonna be won by NIP.
Leyan actually had an influence. For being so far behind, he actually had a major influence in that fight as well. But love to see, honestly, that Light was so reserved in his pull of the bullet time there, waiting for Zhuo's flash play and immediately flashing out of it. There's little things going like that, but now NIP, they know they need to keep going. And Breathe is the target now. He's going to pop the Slicing Maelstrom. Exhaust comes out immediately and goes golden, so maybe denying the kill over there. Shusha Barrage also came down. I don't think Leyan had confidence that Shanji could pull him back. And he did, and unfortunately NIP, they've spent so much time on bot side, they're just losing Baron.
I mean, your junglers are down the bot lane, you do not have a smite.
Oh, it gets so
from
close.
Smolder coming from Rookie. Not quite enough. Tarzan, pretty confident on his smiting a bit.
Oh my god.
What is going on?
Dude, Breathe is just breaking his ankles here. They're gonna send more.
Oh, Zhuo's coming too.
Oh my god, they're sending more. Send your masses, says Breathe.
Oh, he knows.
He knows. He knows. He knows. Is he gonna get the combo back though? He just. Oh my god! No way! They're taking up the turret. Okay, in the end, it doesn't matter. It was a little bit more glitz and glam, but it is still NIP that strike true on bot side while losing their base, by the way.
Weibo Gaming have Baron. You cannot commit 3 members down the bot lane. You're gonna lose everything. Already losing that mid lane tier 1, putting some hurt down top lane tier 1 as well. What is going on? NIP looks lost. Shanji and Leyan try to pull a play, but Leyan goes into hourglass mode when exhaust is active, which means that Breathe just walks out of the play, and then they just have to chase him. Desperation plays coming out from NIP, not necessarily working out the way they wanted it to. I mean, they have capitalized 2 kills back to back, right, onto Breathe. But Weibo Gaming are just taking your entire map while you're committing 2 and 3 members constantly to kill Kennen.
Exactly. I think that's just the hard point at this point. You have 4 items on Xiaohu as well. And the hardest part is that this was a composition that, you know, NIP have tried to find success with before. They have some of the pieces that work. But Weibo have just showed up in force, and I think being able to utilize a lot of the strength around Xiaohu, a guy who has been making a new legacy for himself over on Weibo since all that time on RNG, and maybe trying to write a new page in the book here and taking down NIP in their miracle run.
The TP. Shanji does have TP, and the ward was highlighted right there. But Shanji's literally in the face of Weibo Gaming, so he's not going to be TPing anytime soon. And again, Xiaohu, as you mentioned, was very heavily criticized in terms of performance over in Spring. And honestly, he did not look good. A lot of the plays were pretty terrible. He was not the side lane god that we know him to be. However, right here in this meta with all the AD carries, he looks really good. Please don't let me cast and curse you. Thank you. With all those AD carries, he's been looking very, very crisp. No pun intended, of course. And he's won an MSI as a mid laner, 2 MSIs as a mid laner, an MSI as a top laner. He knows how side laning works, and he's been using that to perfection right here in the series.
NIP have a decent siege defense, but it's not going to be nearly enough as they lose another inhib turret, their last one remaining on bot side being defended by Rookie, still under the siege of Xiaohu. He does have that execution mark, but I don't think the threshold is going to be nearly big enough for NIP to pull themselves out of this one. They will stop the siege, though, as Weibo may be repositioned for this dragon. It would be a soul of an ocean variety.
They don't have to overpressure the mid lane right here, or any lane for that matter. They have a pretty free soul. I think you take every objective that you can off the map. The game is pretty much already won in the books, right? 11,000 gold in the lead for Weibo Gaming. They've got the soul, they had the previous power, they've taken everything outside of NIP's base. The only thing that remains is that base from NIP. However, it becomes a little bit difficult because there's a bunch of wave play between the Ezreal and the Smolder. So you might need, unless you catch someone outside of that base, you might need yet another Baron from the sort of Weibo game to try and crack open NIP's base.
Honestly, easy dealings in that regard. You just need 2 minutes to make sure you can secure that one. I think they'll be able to hold on just fine. NIP, though, they're trying to move some vision out here, easily being rebuffed by Weibo with all this strength they have. And you have to remember that in this series as a whole, you know, Weibo did kind of smack NIP in the Rumble stage in that 2-0 in their best 3. Maybe reminiscing here as Weibo have woken up a bit. I know you said on the day NIP can potentially have the best macro in the league. I think maybe they woke up a little bit late and then hit the snooze bar again. And then we're waiting for that next alarm to come on.
Yeah, and that's the worst, right? Your brain doesn't get to have a full circle of cleansing, apparently. That's what it's called. So not necessarily on their best day. No, that's actually the thing, by the way. You guys need to check that out.
Okay.
It needs a full cycle to cleanse everything. So yeah, a lot of the times if you guys snooze and you feel even more tired, even though you've slept around 20 minutes more, that's because your brain hasn't had the time to do the full cycle that it needs to do. That's why you wake up more tired even though you've slept more. It's really interesting if you guys want to read about it. It's really fun. You guys go ahead. However, here, I'll agree with you. I feel like this is why NIP haven't necessarily looked as a strong contender, because even though they're showing these signs of brilliance, which right now Shanji is not showing, he's trying to face check, but he's the only member that can. It's just been so inconsistent.
Yeah.
It's like, what makes NIP win other than Rookie popping off 1v9? And we've seen some glimpses of Shanji getting ahead, maybe Leyan getting ahead, maybe Photic and Zhuo, 2v2 in Ruler and missing, but it just hasn't always been consistent.
I think, and as we see Tarzan go in for the final blow potentially here by Weibo, it literally is making me think, though. I mean, the one game that Weibo looked really bad on was without a proactive jungler. The 2 games they have looked good on are with proactive junglers. Is that just the difference that NIP cannot overcome here? I know the early game didn't do Leyan any favors, but he's got to find some promise in here if he wants to get NIP over the line.
I'm not gonna lie, that game number 2 did have a few questionable moments from Tarzan as well, and Crisp we just walked into the jungle and thought they were cool enough to take a brand down 2v1 after level 6. So yeah, there were a few oopsies, but Weibo Gaming has been playing aggressively overall in general, even with champions that you don't necessarily expect this to happen over in game 2 also.
Bro says, you want this? I'll come at you. Big True Shot Barrage cross, but now Breathe is unanswered with the Slicing Maelstrom. Shanji has now come, though, and Rookie has some good damage here, but Shanji going to pull off the fight because they realize that Xiaohu is ready to come over with the flank.
Yeah, that looked a little bit too good to be true, and then I looked in the middle and I was like, okay, so my 6k gold lead Zeri, is it over in the middle? Yeah, that makes sense why NIP is sort of winning the trades in terms of damage. They didn't manage to take that Kennen ultimate away, and the exhaust is still standing onto Shanji. However,
you can't step to Xiaohu. He's full build right now. Like, he will just run you down.
He has no flash.
As everyone from NIP heading to the cave of their base here. Photic maybe overstepping a little bit. Now Tarzan comes through, and there goes Zhuo. Bouncy castled into a dream, and that will be the final siege by Weibo.
Weibo Gaming take another one down, and only 4 members of NIP. Can they defend this?
They do have a decent amount of clear. Rookie does have a lot of damage on the minions, but the turret's already going down one by one. The damage is going to be there. Xiaohu steps up to take the first one. Weibo, they smell max point on the horizon here in NIP. They got a little fight back here, though. Weibo, they're giving them a little tussle, but it's on to the Nexus focus, and Weibo, they'll go up 2-1.
Weibo Gaming, the most consistently inconsistent team in the LPL. In Group Ascend, they went win-loss, 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 win-win. There was no streak over there. However, on the day, this is an NIP that persevered past LGD, past JDG. They are showing to be the more consistent team, the team that will play aggressive in the early game, the team that will want to get ahead by 15 to then close it out. And I feel like NIP they've run out of answers. They need to be stepping it up individually.
I had big questions on the consistency of Leyan, the teams that he's been on. There has been some times where he has slipped and fallen, and now we see that maybe he's on the back foot for the first time in these best of 5s. Let's see if he can rise up and answer and get us to a silver scrapes. We'll be back with game number 4 after a short little break.